The LEAP Foundation proudly presents the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman. Dr. Bill is a TV host, New York Times best-selling author, two-time Guinness World Book record holder, fitness guru, celebrity cosmetic dentist, and philanthropist who founded the LEAP Foundation. Here's Dr. Bill.
Hey, Dr. Bill here. I'm super excited for this next guest. We've been friends forever and ever and ever, and it has been such an honor and a privilege to watch Stella just come into her own. And you'll see what I mean when we start talking. Why do we do these Meet the Mentors? Well, every year for the last 13 years, we put on an amazing program called LEAP at UCLA. LEAP is a nonprofit motivational leadership program for high school and college students where we basically teach kids 15 to 25 plus the skills that they need to be successful in life. And how do we do it? We do it by bringing in incredibly successful businessmen and women, actors and actresses, athletes, politicians, I mean, you name it. And they sit and they actually share their stories with the kids. And the thing that's really warmed my heart so much about LEAP is the tremendous support that we've received from the community. I mean, Stella's husband, Anthony Hopkins, has come, Mark Wahlberg, Eva Longoria, Usher, Seth Green, Kathy Bates, Paula Abdul, Jonathan Bennett, Devin Druid, Michael Strahan. I could go on and on and on. And these people come and speak for free. We don't pay them because, like me, they believe that our future is with our kids. And they want to help these kids really succeed in life by sharing kind of the secrets to their success. And you know, none of us go through life unscathed. And sometimes learning what successful people have done to get through those rough patches in their life is really enlightening, you know, because I know a lot of kids sit there and, you know, they look out and they think the grass is always greener and, you know, these people don't have any problems. You know, we compare our deepest, darkest insides to everybody else's bright, sunny outsides. And one of the things that Stella is going to share with us today is a very emotional project that she just finished that really deals with mental health and mental well-being. So without further ado, I just want to mention LEAP 2021 will be in person, hopefully. If not, it will be virtual again. It will be July 18th to the 24th at UCLA. And if we can do the program in person, we still will have a virtual aspect because the virtual program reached over 1,000 students this year, which was phenomenal for us. So we're super excited. And one of the highlights of LEAP is the mentor workshop. And that's why we started doing this Meet the Mentor, to bring in really great mentors that kind of, you know, grease the wheel so that kids will get excited about the program and realize the kinds of speakers that we're going to have. And hopefully we'll be able to get Stella to come in person if there's no coronavirus to LEAP this summer and talk about this. But let me read her bio and then I'll introduce you. Stella Hopkins is founder and CEO of Margam Films, LLC. It's an independent film company based in Los Angeles. Stella has just completed her feature directorial debut with Elyse, which she produced and co-wrote, and it will get theatrical and on-demand release December 4th. And we're going to blow it out. And I want all of you guys to put it on your Instagram too, okay? And every other way that you use social media. Next, with Margam Films, Stella's developing a documentary based on somebody she knows kind of well, her husband, Sir Anthony Hopkins. By the way, in our conversation today, it's always Tony. So when we talk about Tony, just know that's actually Sir Anthony Hopkins. Stella, welcome to Meet the Mentor.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you. I know that Tony's been a part of it for some time, and from the sidelines, I've been observing your work, and it's beautiful, and it's an honor to be with you this morning.
Well, thanks. So I'm super excited. I want to start right at the beginning. You know, you didn't grow up in America. You came here and you had a really, really exciting and kind of novel career path. So let's start at the beginning with law school and kind of take them to where we are today.
Well, I was born in Bogota, Colombia, and at age 3, my mother, very intelligently planning her trip to America, put me in a bilingual preschool. And I remember coming home very upset that English was just too difficult and I was never going to get this. So we moved to America, and I went to John Jay of Criminal Justice. I wanted to be a criminal attorney. I majored in forensic science and criminal psychology. But by 1920, I got restless and thought, do I really want to be a lawyer? Do I really want to do this? And I questioned it, and a calling to come to California to pursue my dream of being an actress. So,
and I think the interesting thing too is that even in your pursuit of law, for you, the inner drive was, I get to act in a courtroom. And then at a certain point, you just had this epiphany. It's like, well, why just act in a courtroom? I really want to be an actress.
Right. Well, I knew when I was in high school, being in the debate team, that I had the ability to really command my attention in a group and be outspoken and get, I enjoyed that attention. And I figured I'd take this to the courtroom. And then I thought, well, maybe the big screen is better. So I come to California and I realized it wasn't quite so easy, but I did go to all the training, and I started getting little bit parts, one-liners, and I thought, oh, this is not the plan. And also, there is a reality that you pursue an acting career, but how do you pay the rent? There is a dream, and then there's the reality of survival. So I couldn't do what a lot of the starlets do, which is be a waitress. I lasted 30 minutes. I thought, oh God, I'm awful at this. I can't. So I went on to get a real job at the Hollywood Reporter. T.G. Wilkerson Miles at the time hired me. And that was lovely. I felt like at least I was around the media of, filmmakers, but it's still, the dream was there. It was dormant. But it was always, the flame was always flickering somewhere inside my soul.
But, I think the thing that's so cool, though, is you never gave up on this dream. And I know you are a very, very tenacious person. So what you did, though, was you position yourself very strategically. So all the experience that you were getting in all these different things really helped this dream come to fruition by hook and by crook, little bit,
Yeah. So, I think something about pursuing your dream is that the universe has a way of conspiring in our favor. I believe in that sort of magical thinking. So because I believe in the magical thinking, I figured just continue to do small, films. I was staying in the desert with some artists, and we made a lot of artist films and just fun films that, back then, not like today we have our phones, but back then it was the 8mm. And so I was just making some fun films and, student films with my friend from USC, and who, by the way, is Elyse in the film, Lisa Pepper. She's my best friend for years and years, and she used me in a lot of her films. So I always, the camera, I was enamored with the camera. Let's just, smile and play and have fun. And because of that, I think the universe kept saying, okay, let's position you. So whether it's because of my relationships in life, or because of the work that I was doing, my profession or my personal life, placed me in the environment that could, give my dream room to grow, to blossom, some kind of like little droplets of water.
But at what point did you actually say, okay, not law, not acting, not directing, like this is my real calling? When did you first realize that, Stella?
So I've always known it in deep in my soul. And when I got married to, with Tony, and I started, he's a great writer. So he wrote a beautiful script called Slipstream. And I immediately said, we have to do this. We have to make this film. So I took it upon myself to produce it, and we made it happen. I was one of the, co-stars, and that gave me a tremendous, this was like, I believe, like 2-3 years into my marriage. So maybe I believe it was in 2005 or 6 that we made the film. And it gave me a real, sort of like fulfillment of like, I produced this, I'm in a film, working with, my husband. I was like, unbelievable. But, and I thought after I completed the project, and Lisa was the star of that as well, I thought, I love this. But, life has a way to, the way, we all have destiny, or is it written? Tony's career took him, we traveled a great deal, and I had to, newly married, I felt I had a responsibility to be the wife, to be the wife. And so I went with him, and but then again, I was around like Michael Bay, and I was around Richard Eyre, all these great directors.
Stella, I know you, and you are one of the most giving people I've ever met. And I know that your inner Stella was giving and giving and giving, and you were giving so much that Stella never really had a chance to give to Stella. And at a certain point, you said, you know what? I've done all this for my husband, for my friends, for my family, for my career. It's time for me to really focus. And I think that was a real turning point for you. You picked something that was so near and dear to your heart. Maybe you can give us an idea of where the inspiration for this movie came from, because people don't know how you grew up and what your background was.
So I just want to start by saying that it's never too late to fulfill your dream. And about 3 years ago, I woke up and I said to Tony, I said, I have to share something with you. I need to make this film. I want to write, I want to produce, I want to direct a film. And I started writing the film, inspired by, not that the story is my story, but because I'm very sensitive to the subject of mental illness. I wanted to create something that would be portraying what happens to family members that are living with someone, or themselves are experiencing mental illness. I was raised in a home with an undiagnosed schizophrenic, and I know the devastation that mental illness creates around them, to the children, the spouse. It's just it's crippling, the pain that they cause, and self-destruction, and destroy the family. So with that, I created this, not that Elyse is based on my story, but it's about a woman who's afflicted with mental illness, and how her whole life disintegrates and falls apart, and how it affects her mother, her husband. And it's a tragic story that I'm not going to give away because I want you guys to see it.
Right.
But the damage is severe, and it's a silent illness that oftentimes goes, undiagnosed or properly diagnosed. And people, wonder why there are so many homeless and drug addicts, because we just don't have a handle on what mental illness really is.
So let's kind of go through the steps, because the one thing that really differentiates, our Meet the Mentor podcast from others is I like to give students kind of a cookbook recipe. You know, I mean, first, you know, you had schooling, you had background, you had education. That's paramount to success. You know, then you had a concept, which you believed in, a dream. That's also paramount to success. At that point, I know you hired 2 sets of writers. Neither of them actually really were able to capture the essence of what you wanted. But the first step was actually to write the screenplay. Once you got that done, maybe you can take us through the next steps as to, you know, what happens.
Well, you know, sitting at that laptop and writing out the scenes and creating the script. And once I felt that it was tight enough to really feel like, okay, I can share this with, you know, others, my actors. I kind of had, I saw the film. As a director, I think you need to really see I saw every single detail of the lighting, the music, the wardrobe, the hairstyles, so the sets. And the first person that I felt, well, without even requesting, Dante Spinotti, the cinematographer, when he heard that I was writing a script, he said, "I'd like to read it." And the minute he read it, he says, I'm in. So I was honored, because Dante Spinotti is one of, you know, our great cinematographers. So, and he saw it. He said, "I love how you're using black and white and color as your palette to tell the story. I also like that, you know, I use tremendous white light to kind of wash things out. So like it all becomes like a fantasy, a dream. It blurs, you know, when your mind is I figured Elyse's mind needed to be blurred out. So I used white to saturate her thoughts. And then I love music, and I felt, and Tony's a composer. He's everything, this guy. And so he's a composer. And I said to him, I said, you know, there's that deep sadness but in very small part of Elyse, the character, she has a little bit of peace, and it's like her internal music, her internal oasis, that I want you to create a piece of music that it has like a lullaby, where she can be humming it to herself, or she hears it internally, and that gives her a little bit of peace. And when I gave him, you know, the information, and he read the script, and he composed this beautiful score, it just made everything so real, because in fact,
come together.
Yeah, on the set, we were playing the music, and, you know, it just added that layer while the actors were working. To have that music being played was just that thread that brought it all together.
So you now you have the script, you have this vision of what it's going to look like. You have Tony composing the music. So all the pieces are going together. Now, what's next? Casting, locations?
Well, you have to have a budget, right? You need the person. I got an executive producer that said, okay, this is a script that we need X amount of days. She broke it down by days, and I think she came up at like 21, and the numbers, I said, I can't shoot in 21 days. I've got to do this in 13. And everybody said, it's impossible. You're never going to make it. And I said, yes, I can. So it was, you know, knowing the speed in which I could do things. And I ended up coming in at 15 days.
Wow.
So the budget was, you know, absolutely instrumental to get a really good executive producer, line producer that understands, you know, the financial structure of a film, so that you break it down by days, locations, et cetera, et cetera. So once I had that in place, and I had my numbers in place, then I went out to get my locations, and established locations that were not crazy expensive. And again, the locations were very important, because they were telling my story. They're the canvas. I needed the house to look clinical. So a very sterile white house, so that the story could, you know, she would design a house like this, very no soul, no spirit. And so I had a very specific idea of a house. crazy specific.
No, that's one of the things I love about you. You are so definitive. There are people in this world that we run into that are so wishy-washy. It's like, make up your mind, mate. But like, I know you, Stella. It's like boom, boom, boom. So I love you had this vision. You had the music. You had the actors. Of course, you had one of the greatest actors of all time, your husband. You put together this film, you shoot the film in a record 15 days that nobody thought you could do because, of course, you're Stella Hopkins and you do things people never think you could do. Now you have this film. Now distribution is a whole thing. And you really lucked out. Maybe you could tell that story because I think that's phenomenal.
Well, the submitting to the festivals. So ideally, when you make a film, you need to be in a festival to get some kind of reviews. And really nowadays, it's not like it used to be, where festivals were welcoming, embracing of young talent, indie filmmakers. Now it's a business. So they want to sell tickets, they want names. It wasn't a big director, it wasn't a big budget film, so it didn't get picked up by any of the film festivals. I was invited to Deauville, but it was too far and the wrong timing, so I didn't go. In hindsight, I should have gone because it's a prestigious festival, but anyway, you make mistakes. And everybody kept saying no, 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 and I thought, I'm not going to give up. I'm just not going to give up. And one morning I woke up and I thought, I know someone out there is going to say yes to me. It is impossible that this beautiful film is not going to be seen. It's just impossible. And that very day, I get a phone call that Gravitas Ventures wanted to distribute the film. And so
awesome.
Here we are.
It's December 4th, which is right around the corner.
It is December 4th. So
it's so exciting. You know, one of the things at Leap that we really try to encourage the kids to do is to find great mentors in their life. You had a very great mentor in Sweden, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that relationship and how that helped form your career.
Well, it's an interesting part of my life because I met Gunnar Hellström when I was 24 years of age. And he was a film director and actor in Scandinavia. He was living partially in Sweden and partially here in the US. He was at the time directing a lot of television, Dallas, many other television shows. So we spent a lot of time in Sweden, and he was working a lot in Sweden as a director. And I really, I was like a personal assistant, let's say. And I got to be around him with some of the greatest. Lee Wallman. I obviously, living in Sweden, I got influenced by Bergman. And my film Elyse has a lot of, it feels very European, by the way, to me, the film, because in my DNA, I have a lot of European, my mother's descent, European descent, and I spent a lot of time in Europe. And so Bergman definitely has influenced me and the Scandinavian filmmakers. And of course, this relationship that I was with for 7 years of my life, living in Sweden and being around these, great actors. But then present day with my husband, oh my goodness. I mean, watching Tony work on camera, like when he did The Father, this film that has got this huge buzz, also releasing in December. I believe it's December 18th. But watching him work, the nuances of the stillness, and it's like, and when he prepares for a film, he understands the history behind the character. He'll do research on the subject matter. For The Father, let's say it was dementia, and so he studied the subject, and he emulated, some of the qualities of someone that he knew that was suffering from Alzheimer's. So it's I feel it's such a gift to been able to, that's why I wasn't even like, yes, I gave up, I was being the wife traveling, with my husband to location, but it was an education. I finally, the way that I told him, I said, I feel like the student has graduated. I am now ready to make a film.
Amazing.
Watching Richard Eyre, Michael Bay, it's just, these are phenomenal directors and some of the great talent that Tony's worked with. And just being around Tony, it's just, I don't know how it gets better than that.
All right, so I have a really hard and tricky question for you.
Okay.
If I am a young potential filmmaker watching this, and I don't have Tony Hopkins in my life, where should I start? Give me like a little bit of a roadmap. Like, what should I do to really prepare myself to do what you've done, Stella?
Well, I think number one is really allow yourself to dream, to believe that you can. That magical thinking goes a long way.
Huge.
You can't really dismiss it as just like, oh, it's new age, blah, blah. It is real. The power of your dream, the power of your word. That's number one. Then nothing's impossible. Tony, again, has a wonderful saying is, act as if it is impossible to fail. So, wake up thinking that you are you're Spielberg, or wake up thinking that you're Nicole Kidman or an Anthony Hopkins. Just wake up believing that you are, that you can, that you are doing it, not in the future, but that you are. And once you own that, I am a filmmaker. I am empowered to make a beautiful film. And day by day, just don't say the words, really take action to do it. Start the script. Some days, literally, I'd sit at the computer for all day and think, one line, is that all I can come up with is just one line? But that one line was something. And as long as you're dedicating, time to your passion, and you're really not just a lot of dreams but you have to have action with the dream as well. It's like you dream and then you need to take the steps to actually accomplish that dream. And they may seem like little small steps: taking a class, asking someone that that is in the industry, how can I come in and shadow you? How can I work with an Anthony Hopkins? How can I go, believe it or not, you hear these crazy stories about, writing a letter. Dear Mr. Spielberg, I admire you. I'm a student. Is it possible that I can maybe work for you this summer? And, the letter may never be answered, but it might be answered. You get the person at the right moment. They might just say, hey, why not give that kid a chance? Send a photo of yourself. Give them a little history of who you are, your likes, that you have a dog, that you have a little brother, that you go for all the personal little tidbits that make you human, that make you real, that are going to open that door.
You know what? I love that. And I'm going to add two really important things. One of the most valuable things that you said today to me, and that I want to pass on to our students, I love that you worked at the Hollywood Reporter. And I'll tell you why. You're right. Not everybody has the luxury of being able to just pursue this dream and not make money. Like, you need to eat, and this business is a very, very competitive, highly competitive, probably the most competitive business in the world. So I love the fact that you took the initiative to get what you call real job just to feed yourself. You need to do that, and I think that, without losing the dream, that's a reality that you have to do. The second thing is, I will make a pledge to any student watching this that if they have an amazing, amazing screenplay that they want Stella to read, if they give it to me and I actually think it's amazing, I will pass it on to Stella. And that you're not going to get inundated with millions of them, Stella. But if somebody really comes up with something absolutely phenomenal, I'll pass it on to you. You never know.
Please.
You might like it, or
Please.
you may know somebody that wants it. You know, I will end with this. Your husband gave me one of my favorite quotes in life. One of the things I love about Tony is every time he comes into the office, we just talk and talk and talk. And he's one of the most approachable and personable people. And he said this to me probably 15 years ago, and I live by it and I love it. He said, Doc, when I grow up, all I want to be is a little boy.
Oh, I love it.
It's that hunger to learn all the time, like a little boy, you know? And I see that in Tony. I mean, he's over 80 years old now, and he still has that curiosity that you see in
He's
little
a TikTok
kids.
Star, by the way. So
I know.
80,
Well, come on. He paints. He's a musician. He's an actor. He's a philosopher. You're right. Like, he does everything.
I love
Stella.
adding TikTok Star to the repertoire, because that's really good. When you could, do the Tootsie Roll, the Drake, you're good.
You're really good. Stella, I can't thank you enough. I love you. I love Tony. You guys have been so amazing and so supportive. And I wish you all the best success. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that as many eyeballs see this beautiful piece when it comes out. And again, thank you so much.
Well, Dr. Dorfman, I just want to say thank you. And I know that when you bring the script, I will even get him to do a small cameo.
She's not only the director, she's the boss. She's my boss. She's the boss of me.
I know.
Tell me about
Actually,
it.
she's the boss of all of us.
I just say yes to you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
Tony.
in case you want him, he is available for a little cameo. That's my contribution to bringing the right script, and we'll give him a cameo.
You're beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay,
All right.
big hug.
Dr. Bill,
Thank you.
over and out.
To learn more about the Leap Foundation, go to leapfoundation.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Leap Foundation or on Instagram at Leap Foundation. Listen to the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.